What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Jack Ramsays post-game show. I'm Danny Marang. This is Brandon Sprague. We're brought to you by DirecTV.
Yes.
All right.
Thanks, Wayne. Thanks, Garth.
You like that? Oh, I don't know. Who's bigger sellout tonight, me or the Blazers?
I think you still got it. I think you still take the crown.
What's going on, everybody? Danny Marang, Brandon Sprague.
It's a cocktail night, boys.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a cocktail night.
Listen, if you have your adult beverage of your choice, number one, if you are a brewery or a distillery and you would like to sponsor the show, I will also shell out for you.
This glass could be you.
Can have a giant label on it. It could be
Right.
all yours. It'd be really fun to be able to put a label on this team right now.
I think there is a label.
What's that label?
Inconsistent, need to make a move team. Like
Weird. I could have drawn that one up 4 years ago.
Could have drawn that up 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, a year ago.
Oh, man.
I know there's a lot to get to with this specific game, but
Yeah.
in all honesty, do you not think there's a label for this team? Because that's mine, and I don't think if they beat Indiana and the Lakers, which I'm not going to be shocked that they do that, that's not going to change that opinion for me.
So I want to say no because I have been adamant about giving them 20 games.
Well, yeah, I think I'm separating two things.
Okay,
here.
because here's the thing: is like I think Chauncey for the most part has been okay. Like I haven't really had any gripes. I think tonight was probably the first real
Yeah,
about those rotations, Chauncey.
Yeah,
about those rotations, particularly when Ant was on an absolute heater and you can't score. But we'll talk about that as we keep going. Musa says, Dame's 100% hurt. He was grimacing in pain the entire game. Okay, I ask again, are we still not worried just a little bit from James? I think the general consensus is I asked how people were feeling, and my tweets went a little nuts because I don't think I was tweeting much tonight. So they said, "Oh, Danny's alive. Let's go ahead and check and see what's going on." Should I get into these first before we kind of dig into the game?
sure. Yeah, I just actually went through them real quick before we went live, and they were great. I really enjoyed reading all of them.
Just have another drink every time. Okay.
It basically, it was me and the Alec Baldwin gif of the never-ending pour as I read them.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Just like
Derek Edwards, they just aren't very good. I don't think this is a playoff team as constructed. I don't know if
I'm not ready to go there.
I don't know if I'm there yet, but I get people
Warriors,
who are.
They look like the Warriors play-in team last year. Like they're technically a playoff team, but if they lost in the play-in round, I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah.
At least right now.
Yeah, no, right now, and there's a whole lot of season left. But I also, and then people will kill me for saying this, you know what tonight was, Brandon? Basically 10% of the season is done.
Oh, God.
I'm just to kind of put it in perspective. I'm just saying. Am I wrong?
Correct.
But that's what I'm saying. Just chunks of games go by quick. Yes, it's 82 games. Yes, it's a long season. But when they start, and the thing is, the Blazers haven't had a ton of compacted games. They've up until this trip, they didn't have back-to-backs. They didn't have, they had a little bit of space.
Mm-hmm.
They are going to get compressed here very quickly, and 8 games is going to turn into 15, 20 games very, 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 very quickly.
That is, that's what's always been funny to me is, and we both can relate to this. Like, we love the NBA, we love basketball, as do the listeners, obviously, but that's what's always been funny to me working in sports radio is football is king, and you get a lot of those people are like, wake me when it's Christmas. And my thought has always been, man, like there's so many games that get played before Christmas.
There's 35 games played before Christmas, guys.
That when you pay attention, you can't be all pissed off in February like, why aren't they better? It's like you didn't pay attention before Christmas. Where were you on that one there, Bob?
Yeah, we've all kind of seen this one coming. Right. Just welcome everybody in here. First couple minutes, we usually just kind of hang out. This one, I think, is, as Brandon said, this is a pour a stiff drink kind of game. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the show.
The Big Stiffy episode.
It's the Big Stiffy. It's a tough one, man. But yeah, if you haven't already, please subscribe here on YouTube. You can find us wherever you find podcasts. Jacked, Ramsays, like, rate, review, subscribe. This is going to be some commiseration. We'll dig into some specifics on some guys, particularly at the top of the roster. The starting lineup continues to be a dumpster fire outside of Norman Powell. Cove did have a slight redemption game, but I mean the bar was so the bar was so low. It's kind of like let's get through a few more of these. Nibble, I'm with this Mr. Little because our other Mr. Little only played 11 minutes. WTF is up with that, Danny? Help me understand. We will talk about that with the bench unit. Stephen Cray, oof level maximum. John Reed said they were missing my tweets during the game. That's a lie. That's my burner. Coach Nick,
tweeting yourself. Where are you?
Coach Nick Ant was also benched while keeping them in the game. He was the entire offense that came out. We had difficulty scoring it. He closed but didn't touch the ball. You and I talked about that with that 4-guard lineup about where he falls in that pecking order. This is going to be an issue. And for anybody who didn't already, the mailbag podcast we dropped last night into this morning was up on Blazers Edge. The title of it was, how can the Blazers get Anfernee Simons basically on the floor? Like we spent a ton of time figuring out where he slots in, what he means to the future. It's kind of crazy to talk about that without playing 8 games yet, but it's become pretty bleeping evident that he's that dude.
I had a guy, I forgot who I was tweeting, but I had a tweet a couple days ago, and I had a guy respond like, what? You're ready to deal CJ for Ant? We haven't seen enough to go that direction. And I just basically said, they've lost 4 of the last 5 years in the first round. I think you can, like in the NBA, you can see it with certain guys. There's just a look of a player.
That switch flips, and it's
right. And you're taking off. Yeah. And that's basically what I said. I said, I don't need to be loyal to this roster. They've disappointed. Like, I want to change things. And he went from like kind of attacking to, I understand. And it's just, it was that easy. And I know we'll dive into it, but it's just interesting to see that kind of feedback.
Pat Campbell says, feeling not so good, trying to stay hopeful. Rose the Great, embarrassed. Wayne Hughes, it's early. Maybe keep seeing the same issues that came up last year in the playoffs coming back. It may be early, but it's beginning to be not too early to worry. D. Wentz, Nurk is a glaring weakness who can't play 30 minutes. Small guards and Dame's rough shooting is one thing, but Nurk has continued to show he's unable to be consistent. That's extremely hard to deal with when your power forward is like 6'7", 215. I'd start Zeller. It sucks.
You do that, and you're going to have to trade him.
Oh, that's unquestionably that's Denver Nurk all over again.
Yeah, he will go full on out of it. You'll lose him if you do that. By the way.
John Clan, look on the bright side. Dame's 3 of 12 from deep actually brings up his average this season.
I like that.
Well, I didn't see who Nibble was responding to, but T Little at 0608, Harold Little, relation to Nasir Little, just has 2 angry face emojis.
Oh, that's somebody related to Nas.
That's Nas's dad.
I mean, look, I have to go look at the box score.
He only played 11 minutes.
Well, I knew he played I was going to say, I don't know what he finished stat-wise, but if you told me, like, hey, his minutes, I would have said for sure it was sub 13 minutes.
He had 11 minutes. He was 0 for 1, and he had 2 blocks.
I think this is fair. Like, we're doing the 20-game thing with Chauncey. I thought tonight he had a really bad night.
Yeah, I would say coaching-wise, this was a bad night, and it has nothing to do with he didn't have his guys ready. I've never subscribed to the belief that Terry needed to have his guys ready. They're professionals. I don't think that's your job necessarily to have guys in a right state of mind. They should be there.
I agree with that. Like, show up. They're getting paychecks. These are adults. This is a business. Like, we're beyond. That's middle school.
It's a culture thing, and if you're gonna champion culture, the right mindset comes with that. So the fact that they didn't really bring it tonight, I think that's more on Dame, more on CJ, more on Nurk, more on the leaders of this team than it is on Chauncey. And again, this is not me saying Chauncey was bad in that respect. I don't think that falls on him. But rotation-wise, I thought he was scrambling a little too much, a little too quick on the trigger, which we're going to sit here and armchair analyze this stuff, whether it's Terry, whether it's Chauncey, I don't care who it is. He doesn't have the benefit of the doubt, and that's kind of how this is going to go, right? Mm-hmm. Kevin says, 1, CJ ISO needs to stop. 2, I won't shed a single tear if Nurk is traded at the deadline. Listen, I screw it. Let's get into Nurk. We'll come back to some of these. the headline that I have for Yusuf Nurkic tonight, Brandon, Yusuf Nurkic, what is my purpose?
That's an interesting headline.
I mean, 6 points, 9 boards, 2 assists, 3 of 7. How the hell have you gotten played off the floor in back-to-back nights?
Mine is Nurk Fever cools down.
Nurk Fever cured.
Yeah, Nurk Fever cured. Jared Allen destroyed that man tonight. I mean, he destroyed the whole team, but like he especially destroyed Jusuf Nurkic. He that was a crime. I thought about calling the cops in Cleveland on what Jared Allen was doing.
Did you see the drop step he had on him early on?
Yeah. Yeah. Did you see Larry Nance on a pass?
Yeah, let's talk about that real quick, because that kind of shapes the narrative, I think, of where the team is right now. One of the things that you and I talked about with Justin when they brought Larry Nance Jr. over in the trade was that Nance doesn't take any BS. He does not delay when things need to be said, and Nance chewed Yusuf Nurkic out for not finishing a cut, for not having his hands up, for giving up on the play, and he gave him the business, and Nurk just stared straight ahead and trotted back up the court.
Yep,
that's a tough look, man. Right?
I mean, to not respond at all, I think that's kind of his personality type in those situations.
But he likes to get coached, Brandon. He likes guys to be rough with him, to tell him straight up.
Yeah, he likes it so much that when they got bounced, he decided to bitch and moan about what his role is and whether he wanted to come back. Like, I'm tired of hearing that. That's not how this dude operates. We know that. Terry remember that Terry moment? I think it might have been last year.
The Nets game when he yanked him?
But do you remember, like, he, like, went at him?
Oh, he chewed his ass out.
And you didn't see Terry do that often. With, like, he's a player's coach, and he was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, he didn't finish that game.
He did not finish that game, and I think it kind of set up the rest of the year for Nurkic, and he went into the tank. Like, I've heard this, like, oh, he wants to be coached. Yeah, okay, but he's not responding to being coached. He's not responding to guys telling him on the floor, finish the cut. Like, I gave you a good clean bounce pass. You could have got an easy dunk or layup, and you kind of just stopped and the pass went out of bounds. Like, he's not responding to that. He bitched about the previous way of being coached. Like, some of this is just on him as a personality. Like, that's just kind of maybe who he is.
Yeah, he's got to figure this stuff out. And the thing is, all the blame tonight doesn't fall on Yusuf Nurkic. He's definitely a prime candidate, but it falls on the top 3 guys. Dame, CJ, and Nurk. All were awful tonight. Dame tried to do Dame things, Brandon. He tried. He did not. 10 of 27, 3 of 12 from 3, 26, 8, and 3. Looks good in the box score as far as the counting stats, but the efficiency was a disaster. Yeah. I thought the shot choice was awful, and it might have been his worst defensive game of the season.
It was a terrible last shot to try to tie the game. That wasn't even a play. That was a give Dame the ball and move.
Yeah, and he fell down before he got it off.
I know, and as soon as you saw, was it Mobley or Jared Allen on him?
It was Jared Allen. You were like, Jared Allen.
As soon as you saw it, you're like, he's not getting a clean look. Like, if this goes in, it's going to be kind of luck. But, I mean, he also had a drive. You know, he did a couple good things there at the end, and you thought, okay, he got that and one to cut it to 3. But he also had that drive where, this is where the injury stuff, I think, comes into play, is he drove, and it was just an awful decision. He got pinned. These are moments and things we're seeing from him this year that we're not familiar seeing from Damian Lillard. So whether this is an injury and it's going to come out, or this is just what it's going to be for the next 6-7 games, I don't know. But he had a lot of bad moments tonight. He had some good ones, but he had a lot of bad moments tonight.
Yeah. So Dame's effectiveness this entire season has come off of basically one type of set, and that's the double screens. And it allows him to catch a big kind of flat-footed at the free throw line, because even when Dame is turning the corner, he's not getting that blow-by. He's getting that quick up where he's beating somebody to the glass by just taking it a step earlier. And I wonder if the scouting report's going to change on that at all, because tonight I thought he caught Jarrett like waiting for it, and he just went earlier as opposed to turning the corner and getting by him. Almost all of his points came off the same sets tonight. Drag screen, drag screen, drag screen, drag screen. But you have to worry about him at the three-point line so much that he gets that in between. And if you lean forward or if you lean back, he can still get by you enough. But tonight he was wincing. But tonight I also think he rolled an ankle. So, which one is it? But he got knocked to the ground a couple times tonight, and he was definitely kind of, But overall, man, we can talk about all the things we want. We can talk about Nurk being awful. We can talk about CJ just putting on the blinders and shot hunting and freezing everybody else out. None of that crap matters if this guy can't at least be some of Dame.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't disagree with that, but the only pushback I'll have on it is your big three that you're selling us is Dame, Nurk, and CJ. If you look around the landscape of the league, good teams, mediocre teams, when they have 2 or 3 guys that they consider they're kind of leaders,
core guys, there's almost an obligation or responsibility on certain nights for those second and third guys to step it up if the star doesn't have it, right? Yep. Like KD is an amazing scorer. Some nights he's going to be a little off. James Harden's got to carry like the bulk of that workload, or if Kyrie is playing, like that is what AD, LeBron, you have this. And so, like, while I'll acknowledge not having Dame play well is just killing him, there's moments like tonight where I'm like, these are games where CJ should be stepping up and showing, hey, I'm a legitimate number 2, versus like, hey, I'm questionably a number 2, probably more a number 3, and they're not getting that from him. Yeah. So again, Dame is going to get some of the bulk of he's going to get the bulk of the blame, but nobody else followed up in that starting lineup except for Norman Powell.
So like, at what point do we start to kind of like, hey, the big guy, hey, the other guard, are you gonna step up in these moments where Dame is going on a little bit of a struggle bus?
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough across the board tonight. Some of the starting lineup cleaned up their plus minus, closing the game. So single game plus minus. If I told you that Cody Zeller was minus 17 and Yusuf Nurkic was plus 10, would you believe that?
No, I would say that's an absolute horrific stat to pull from tonight's game.
Yeah. Being on the floor when the Cavs decided to kind of crap the bed is unfortunate for Cody Zeller, because I thought he was out there working. I thought Nance was out there trying. I didn't think you got the necessary effort from the top 3 guys tonight, and that's a bummer because Norman Powell was on one. He was playing aggressive. He's getting downhill, 23 points, 9 of 16, 3 of 6 from 3.
He had that dog in him tonight. I like seeing that aggression. I like seeing the confidence he shot. He had the 4-point play. I do want to go back to the Nurk thing real quick.
Yeah.
I know we're going to kind of weave
this is going to be a lot of this right now.
You said something interesting. I remember with when Myers was here, and it was like year 6. And he'd have like a decent game, and I would see listeners text in and be like, guys, I think Myers has finally got it. I think he's figured it out. And my opinion has always been, if you are this in year 6, you don't have a lot of evidence in this league where guys at year 6 are suddenly some different, drastically better player. You are what you are. And that's kind of how I feel about this Nurkic stuff. Like you said it earlier, he's got to figure that out. I don't know if he will. Like, at what point do we just say, this is Jusuf Nurkic? He's up, he's down, and when he's down, it's really bad.
There's volatility in what he does.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to make – there is no adjustment to me for him. Like, his touch around the rim, we always talk about that. At some point, we got to say, that's just kind of who Jusuf Nurkic is. I same with his attitude and the way he approaches some of this stuff. I don't know if he can truly change that.
When he's high, he's very high. Like, his top level play puts him in a particular like high level in the NBA that's like, yeah, there's not a lot of guys that can do that. Like, when he's really feeling it, I mean, you get the Sacramento game where you get the 25.5 by 5. You get him really diamond dudes up. You get the energy. You get him talking just cash shit to everybody and being that energy guy. And he hasn't been that guy once this year so far. Through 8 games, have you seen Nurk be the cowbell guy?
No.
And this is where I keep thinking that all of the mounting pressure and promises and contract stuff, I think on top of the roster isn't the issue, on top of the new coach, on top of personal stuff of just being around the same core for 5-6 years, it's just run its course.
I mean, that's how it's largely looked during their season, right? They caught Phoenix, they caught Memphis, they caught the Clippers. and say what you want, but they got him. But largely this season has, to me, looked like that, a group where it's like, yeah, it's the same old thing. Nurkic to me is a 19 handicap in golf. He'll have a round where he shoots 90 and he'll walk off that course. He'll be in the best mood. He largely, though, is going to be right at 97 to 103. And when he shoots 103, it's because he goes into the crapper because he had back-to-back double bogeys. Like, that's Yusuf Nurkic to me. I recognize it because I used to be that on the golf course, and now I'm in a zen state. But I know what that look is, and that's basically what he does in basketball.
Well, our love it, like it, leave it tonight was
everything was leave it. I mean, there was there anything? I mean, I guess our love it was Ant, and when he got his minutes and chance, that lived up to our love it.
So, my love it, like it, leave it tonight. I just changed the bottom headline to "Love's a myth" at this point. It's
a great. That's a good change right there.
I just listen, man. Ant got absolutely crushed without a call tonight, and I think it honestly rattled his brain for a little while.
Yeah, what's with this? Do you think it's just like a matter of time before that whistle does come his way? Because
they're not calling fouls in general on the interior right now in the NBA.
But the late game call that's one where the NBA.
Oh yeah, the one. Oh yeah, they missed that one horribly. And for everybody out there who's sitting there blaming the refs, don't play like crap for 47 minutes before that. It was an egregiously bad call. There's no doubt about that. But the Blazers put themselves in a position where had they just not played awful for the majority of the game, you don't have to worry about that. It was egregiously bad. And again, Ant twice tonight got absolutely clocked with no call. But outside of that, what's kind of funny is we've kind of seen a couple different versions of Anfernee Simons so far. He started off 2 for 7, Brandon, and it looked like it's going to be a bit of a rough night. He got crushed. He sat out a little bit longer than he normally does, and he came back in, and he just started cooking.
Mm-hmm.
Bailed Portland out when they needed it again.
Yep. Cut the deficit to 3 or 5, and they took a timeout, and you went, by God. Like, we were texting, and sometimes we give some hot takes. I thought they were going to come back and win. I was like,
yeah, no, you even hit me with a told you. You hit me with the Stephen Colbert gif. Told you so.
But I did. I thought, he was going to do it, and then Dame or CJ or somebody was going to step up when they needed it at the very end and carry him over that top. And, you largely just didn't get it. If I was on these Zooms in the post game, like some of the reporters, and I kind of choose not to because I'm always curious.
We could crash it right now. I can use my login.
No, I mean, I know we could, but I'm not interested in it. Like, Anfernee Simons playing 24 minutes and why did you take him out?
He realistically should have played 30 tonight.
He should have. I'd love to hear the explanation, and maybe he's already been asked the question. When he went on that run in the second half, he pulled him for CJ, and I just thought, what are you doing? Are you not seeing that this is the only beacon of hope that you've had in this game right now is what he is doing? Cleveland didn't have an answer for that.
No, we talked about it coming into the game tonight. They had nobody to cover Ant in that second unit. They were going to be screwed, and there was nothing they could do to really slow him down other than, I guess, knock the ever-living hell out of him. I thought Ant was fine defensively, too, so he continues to be at least passable on that end, which...
They had a good place tonight on defense.
When you're playing that way offensively, if you're at least even on the defensive end, if you're just even, your value skyrockets. That's the thing. And again, I liked really a lot of what I saw from Anfernee Simons tonight in the headline here is please send help. Mm-hmm. How much help does Anfernee Simons need, Brandon?
Please trade me to another team is what I would be putting if I was Anfernee Simons.
Or, find a way to give me some more minutes so I can get paid.
But this is the thing, man. And right or wrong, I do think it plays a factor. Tonight, to me, the way that the rotation was figured out, it basically broke down to what the contract situation.
How much do you make?
Yeah, I know he went in there at the end, but taking him out was such a bad decision.
Play him for 4 more minutes.
Yes. Play him for 4 more minutes, and if he keeps giving to you, go even longer. But taking him out, that just killed it. I know we got back in there at the end, but you killed the rhythm. You killed kind of the momentum that they had gotten to get back into that game. And I know they came back again, but he was what got you into it. And I was really frustrated when I saw him get subbed out because he was, as you mentioned, he was on one. I thought he was doing a decent job on defense. And this is now going to become the thing. I promise you, this is the thing now with Blazer fans. I don't know.
This is the narrative.
The percentage will be, but Danny, it's now reached a point, whether it's 8 or 10 games, like I think people are seeing what we're seeing. And hey,
you got to find a way to get Anfernee Simons on the floor.
General manager, this team maybe could be better, and you're stuck with a 4-guard situation that probably shouldn't exist.
Yeah, I don't really know what's that situation's going to go for. There was a comment in here. Jay Betty, I'm almost impressed how bad the team has played so far. I get why Dame grabbed the mic and said, we suck, but please keep watching. Remember how the season started. Remember he had to address the crowd. Please be patient with us. Like he knew the vibes. He knew the vibes weren't right.
He knew he wasn't right. He's like, this ain't going to be what you think, what you used to. It's like, bear with us here.
That's what I'm like. That's what makes me believe that just is there is something like wrong at the core of this team right now, and not like it. The Celtics are doing it very publicly.
Oh my God, the Celtics feel like they're a fire sale. Like I feel
Waiting
like Jaylen Brown could be had. Like that's how desperate.
Well, Marcus Smart can be had. I can tell you that. Marcus Smart can be had, but the Blazers don't need it. I had 3 people text me like, "What about Marcus Smart?" And I'm like, who are you moving? They can't get another bleeping guard.
Make him our Davion Mitchell. We just say we know we're short, but he's a dog on defense.
It's a lot, man. I don't know. We've gone this far, and we've talked about like the general like box score stuff, but like schematically, we went into this game talking about how dribble drive pressure, drive and kick has been something the Blazers are not just forcing opponents to do, but opponents are willingly doing because they are getting wide open, butt naked threes. Oh, hold on, I got an excited puppy. Hold on,
dude. I was literally saying like it sounded like you got punched in the stomach. Did it not? It sounded like Danny got punched in the stomach. He's like, oh! I thought you got punched in the stomach mid sentence because the sound was like this. It sounded like this. Oh! And I was like, is that my kids? Like, what is that sound?
No, my wife was still out, so I had the puppy next to me. Gotcha. She's much calmer next to me than if I put her outside the room. If I put her outside the room and nobody else was home, she's going to let me know.
Or you could just be honest and say you need a support animal right now. I wouldn't blame you.
Listen, man,
I still had my dog.
Listen, I'm sorry, man. Now it got really sad.
8 weeks ago today.
Oof. I'm sorry, brother.
Anyways, let's talk about the Blazers.
Yeah, let's talk about something more depressing. But schematically, this team, Brandon, is giving up so many bleeping corner threes. I mean, good God. 15 to 30 tonight. The Cavs. I heard Lamar and Kevin, the Cavs were struggling coming in, but they're just on a heater tonight. And I'm like, why is it every opponent?
I know. And look, kudos to Justin. Justin said this in the pregame. They were doing the right things offensively. Mm-hmm. They just weren't hitting their shots. And I believe he cited the 3-point specifically and said they're getting
Garland and Sexton haven't been hitting threes.
They just weren't hitting. Like they were bound to get hot if you looked into what they had done all season. And that's why, I text you. I don't know what the final number was. It felt like more than half those threes were open.
Well, I'll watch this one back. I would bet it's probably 8 or 9.
I mean, it just felt like way too many. And
how many? Go through the game back in your head. How many threes did they hit where you're like, it was a good contest? Like 2, 3?
Not a lot, man. Maybe 3, maybe 4 at most.
The one that Mobley hit late game, Nance had fallen down. That was naked. Garland hit the one that was contested at the end of the quarter. That was just a moon ball.
Yep.
I'm trying to think. Windler, I feel like almost all of his were wide open.
Windler's were open when he got it and shot it, but you did, I
late
think,
contest.
a couple, late contest, but it's like, well, he's too good a shooter. He's going to make that.
Funny story.
By the way, underrated player. I really liked him.
He was 1 pick away from being a Portland Trailblazer.
I know. He came into Portland for the pre-draft process. I remember seeing his interviews. He hasn't been able to stay healthy, but man, when he's healthy, he's nice.
Oh, I mean, he's a 40% three-point shooter type. The Blazers were going to take him, but Nasir Little was on the board.
Jason Capono, let's go.
The more you know. Let's flash a little symbol over the top. I saw a question here. Why was Snell put in there in the third before Nas? I'm just going to hit you with the shrug emoji. Give the veteran a little bit of run. maybe Chauncey didn't like that Nas wasn't maybe quite on script yet, was maybe a little too overzealous.
I think Chauncey, part of the figuring it out process that he has talked about, I think part of that for Chauncey is, and there's some good and bad with this, he still isn't committed to a consistent rotation throughout the game. I think he is well, maybe if I put Tony in now instead of Nas again, it's gonna be different. I think he's still figuring that out.
Yeah. Do you go with, and again, I think this is kind of a call back to Terry a little bit. Do you go with the younger guy or do you go with the veteran? It's kind of like, which do you end up choosing?
Did you feel like Nas played himself out of the rotation tonight?
No, but I don't think Snell. I thought Snell the other night he hit a couple threes, but I also got roasted defensively. So Snell's longer, perhaps just a little bit because I think he's like a legit 6'7" ish, almost 6'8". But Nas is significantly more explosive, longer, stronger, or I shouldn't say longer.
Stronger though.
Yeah, significantly stronger, much more of a fluid athlete. Right. It's something that where you just look at it and you go, man, I don't know. What's funny is we talked about, of all things, like previewing tonight's game, the Blazers have been god awful in transition, and tonight they were good in transition. If it wasn't for those transition buckets, they would have been in real trouble because their half-court offense was a dumpster fire.
Yeah, it was. There's a lot of selfish basketball.
Yeah, I mean, you look at, we haven't even talked about CJ tonight. CJ was 7 and 19, ended up with 6 assists, but I don't know how.
I mean,
you know what I mean? It did not feel like.
I know what you mean, and
he
my
was setting
answer
up
to
the
that
offense.
Is just there's probably some just guys hit shots. Norm hit shots. Ant went on a little, whatever that was, but it didn't feel like a 6 assist night.
Yeah, it's just I don't know what you do with that.
Do you think? I feel like I've just asked you this, but I just watched another game, and I can't help but want to ask you: do you think it's in consideration?
What?
The obvious move to one that's going to land you assets and elevate Ant's minutes.
Oh, moving CJ?
Yes. Do you think he's legitimately sitting right now in his Lake Oswego mansion drinking and thinking about that?
Well, it's going to, Neil's hand is going to be forced.
It's going to be forced, but I want to know.
I don't think it'll happen until the deadline.
Right now.
I don't think it'll happen until the deadline. So, if you want to look at Neil Olshey's history, I don't care if you love him, you hate him, you're ambivalent towards him. Neil Olshey has never, ever, ever, ever made a move unless he had to.
I know.
It is always waiting till the last possible minute. That's what he does until you literally force his hand. Mason Plumlee for Yusuf Nurkic, they went hunting for a pick. And they're like, we'll take back Nurkic. Screw it. But they weren't going to pay Plumlee, so they had to find something. All of his deals. You look at it, Dame and CJ are the only guys that he has kept. And every other one of the guys that he has drafted, Gary Trent Jr., trades at the trade deadline. Like, you just go down, guys that he hasn't kept. He just waits till the last minute. Boop. He doesn't move guys preemptively. Mm-hmm. And it's just not something they do.
So maybe he's not panicking at all. Maybe tonight was for him. It's just, they're figuring it out.
Yeah. No, I have a lot of criticisms of Neil Olshey. I definitely do not believe that they wait to figure it out. Cooper Ching actually brings up a good one. Trading Bazemore for Ariza. That's probably the one time but that was because things were so toxic.
It was so awful.
Yeah, and they had to do something. But again, you could say that the hand was forced there because it was unplayable.
Yeah.
So, and they had so many injuries, they had to get bigger. Well,
I think it's almost fair to say, and this is defending Chauncey essentially. I thought he struggled a little tonight, but
overall Chauncey's been fine. But
yeah,
that's the point. Is that it's never been about that. It's been about the players.
It's the roster, bro. Like, to defend Chauncey, some of this is out of his control. Like, he's not walking up to CJ McCollum and saying, "Hey, CJ, you've been here for 9 years. Stop doing what you've been doing."
Well, here's the one thing though. Chauncey did chew CJ's ass out tonight. Did you see that?
I saw it on the sidelines.
That was a bad shot.
It was a bad shot, but I think it's more like, come on, man, you're better than that. But
It's true,
I don't
because
know how
Chauncey's
much of
probably
it's
not
true.
old school in the sense of his coach and Larry Brown, who probably would have run him over with a truck.
You'd have made him do suicides at halftime.
Why is Chauncey out on the floor running right now? Larry Brown is following him and chasing him with a taser. It's
Oh, dude.
I love Larry, man. He was a fantastic coach, and all the stories I've ever heard about him, he puts him in like the GOAT category. But I think I saw some people like, yeah, I wouldn't see Terry do that. And I'm like, cool. What did it get you? Is it going to be something that's going to be meaningful going forward? Mm-hmm.
I just, some of these guys, I don't know if chewing them out or the accountability thing. We talked about this preseason. Is that really going to change tendencies and the way that people play? I'm not necessarily the biggest believer in that, but I'm more than willing to be wrong on it. I think the evidence is mounting by the game that's not changing certain players' way of approaching things from night to night.
Yeah, I wish they had a schedule coming up where they could kind of figure things out.
I think these next 2 games kind of good for them.
Because they aren't going to get matched up against LeBron James and
the Lakers are
Sabonis.
old, and the Rockets just gave the Lakers the bit. Like if you bring the energy at home against the Lakers, which there's going to be extra juice in that building because
Yes,
everybody
the Portland Trailblazers, known for bringing energy this season.
Hey! Let me get this opinion out. This isn't a duck hunt. I'm not coming out here with opinions. Quack 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 quack. But the Lakers bring more juice to the building. There's going to be a decent contingent. So the effort could be a little better there. And it's LeBron. So if you told me they beat the Lakers, I'm not going to sit in the postgame like, I can't believe it.
We saw Nick Stauskas beat the Lakers, so that's not exactly hard to believe. But, and here's the kicker, they get that Pacers and Lakers, by the way, on a back-to-back. I think they play the Lakers every time this year on a back-to-back, unfortunately.
It's Friday, Saturday,
yeah. So, and then they go out on a 4-game trip, which they've done really well on the road so far, Brandon. They've won exactly 0 games against the Clippers, Suns, Rockets, and Nuggets.
Those are winnable games. They're right there for the taking. You know what I mean? Those aren't hard opponents. Hey, I asked you this. I asked you this a couple pods ago. I went through the 9 games, and it included these 3.
I had them at 5-4 or 4-5.
You had them at 5-4. Well, I'm just curious. Like, it's not about being right or wrong. I had them at 4-5. Like, where would you say they finished this 9 games, starting now 0-3?
3-6. Yeah, 3-6.
That's fair. Yeah.
Because remember when I said 5-4, I said there's coin toss games everywhere here.
Yeah, and I still think there's a couple in there that we're going to dismiss.
Pacers is a coin toss game. Yeah. I think Clippers is a coin toss game. Rockets should be an absolute must bleeping win. But unfortunately, I believe they have a day off. That's oh god.
Who did you say?
Rockets. It's a 4. That road trip I think is a 4 and 5 nights.
The Rockets are also a shitty team that tries hard.
True, that's always problematic, right? Like, oh, they want to do things. It's like, oh man, well, could you not? Don't you know you're supposed to roll over and get ping pong balls? But yeah, that is. God dang it, that's 4 games and 5 nights. That road trip.
Back-to-back games now where they've played. They've played one team an up and coming team, the other team an established team in the East dealing with a superstar who doesn't want to play for them. Back-to-back games now, though, Danny, that they've played teams that are missing significant pieces, and they're being outplayed. Like that in itself is problematic to a certain extent, is it not?
Yeah, it is. And when you look at that, is that a veteran team saying we can just turn it on, it doesn't matter, and they don't have the juice, or is it more indicative of a larger issue? And I think that's the question: is do you really? How much are you buying into it, right? Like, because we've seen this team when they were playing good, and not this year, but this general team overlooked teams before. And if coaching is going to take hold, you would think that they wouldn't overlook the Hornets. They wouldn't overlook the shorthanded 76ers. They wouldn't overlook the Cleveland Cavaliers. But it
Do you
feels
think they
like,
overlooked the Hornets? I don't. I just think the Hornets are a better team right now.
which is kind of terrifying because they were all also shorthanded. Yeah. It's
Well,
kind of,
LaMelo's better than Steph now, according to LeVar.
which I mean, Melo or Lonzo was Magic Johnson, so it is what it is. So, we've kind of gotten the matchups right as far as like going into this road trip. Like the big wings were going to be a problem in Charlotte. They were a problem in Charlotte. Philadelphia we're like, oh, Joel Embiid, like you can go head to head and like I have a true big body. It ended up being Andre Drummond filling in as B level Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
And it's not good when Yusuf Nurkic gets outplayed by Joel Embiid. It's horrifying when he gets outplayed by Andre Drummond.
Ooh, I'd say it's expected to be outplayed by Joel Embiid. It is awful to be outplayed by Andre Drummond.
Oh, no, I'm just saying it in the sense of like, oh, it would be nice to see Nurk kind of hang, right? But then to like get absolutely violated by the way he did by Andre Drummond.
Sure.
That's a tough swallow. Then tonight, like we talked about, long, lanky, athletic dudes. And here's the crazy thing. For all of the Cavs just hit shots. Evan Mobley played like dog water. Justin and I were going back and forth all game. He's like, you cursed my son. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's my son. Like he
did play awful, but he still made an impact.
Still made a massive impact. That's what's terrifying about the kid. Rubio, who you texted me about 27 times about how bad he looked. But the flip side of that all is Darius Garland was 6 of 9 from the field, 5 of 6 from 3, had 19 and 10. Sexton was 8 of 13. Mobley ended up going 5 of 11. He just he was sloppy play with the ball, 4 turnovers. Didn't really get the playmaking aspect. Defensively, he just seemed to bother everything. But you have Windler and Osman go 8 for 12 off the bench, 7 for 10 from 3. Woof.
Well, when you leave guys wide open, that's what's going to happen. So,
all right.
You kind of have only yourself to blame.
Well, let's take a look here. We have the Indiana Pacers coming up on Friday.
Yeah.
I need to check the injury report for the Pacers real quick.
Yeah, update that. I've seen a couple games from the Pacers. I admittedly, like with the World Series, because I'm a bandwagon Braves fan. I had a night like last night. I didn't watch any NBA basketball. I had to lock into that game.
So TJ Warren was still out. I had heard the other day that they were looking at him being ready to go. I thought he was supposed to make his debut the other night, but apparently not.
When is this dude going to play? I feel like he's been sick.
Yeah, I think it was a foot injury, so those can go. Jeremy Lamb did roll his ankle. He was out tonight against the Knicks. But it looks like Turner is a go, Sabonis is a go, LeVert is a go. LeVert just came back, obviously, from that unbelievable health scare where a trade quite literally saved his life. So, good times. Good times.
How are you feeling about that matchup right now?
I don't know. I can't peg this team. Like the things that weren't supposed to bother them are bothering them. The things that are bothering them, or they're supposed to bother them, are bothering them a lot. The good news is we have one of the best, if not the absolute best, playbook understanding, coach speak, whisperers, just basketball savants. She grew up in a basketball household, the daughter of a coach, Caitlin Cooper, writer at Indie Cornrows at SB Nation. I think she's also done some stuff for 538. She will be on the pregame show.
Awesome.
If you guys are not following her, follow her.
Yeah, you swear by her. You said she's going to be a star. She
knows more about basketball than all of us combined. She is very, very,
I love it.
She is very good.
Teach me the game. That's what I want.
She will. That's exactly what she does. She takes very advanced concepts and she just boils it down to nuts and bolts and makes it very, very so easy that even I can understand it. Nibble's asking, what is her name again? Caitlin Cooper. You can find her on Twitter at C2Cooper. She is the goat writer out there right now. Anytime, her and Miran Fader. Miran for narratives, Caitlin for basketball knowledge. If I see either of those two publish something, it is an immediate retweet and an immediate read.
I bought the Giannis book because largely I loved Giannis and I knew Miran was a good writer. It rang up and it was $30 and I almost choked on my gum. I'm like, $30. I haven't paid $30 for a book in ever, but I paid it. And I'll tell you right now, I would have paid $45 for that book.
Fantastic. You got the one with the addendum, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
additional stuff that they got after the championship.
Yeah.
It's awesome. All right, well, so we'll have her on. We will go back to our normal time because the Blazers will be back home. So we'll launch probably at 5, maybe 5:30 since it's a Friday game. Give folks some chance to kind of get in. Nibble, if you guys are wondering, has posted her Twitter handle in the chat here for anybody who wants. Thank you all so very much. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the show. Brandon, what you got?
I was just gonna say let's try to lean for 5:30. I think 5:30 gives more people time to get home from work.
Get a little food in them. Pour a pregame beverage.
Cheers. We might need it Friday. God, if they lose Friday, could you imagine they fall to 3-6 going against the Lakers the next night?
If they go on a skid.
Yeah, like what if they lose 3 more in a row?
Let's say they end up 3-10.
Yeah, seriously. What do you think? What's happening there?
Then you might see a panic move.
Panic move. What does that entail? Trading Robert Covington for another wing?
I don't think they're quite that far. Nance into the starting lineup.
Oh, it's something like that?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a starting lineup change. That's the first thing you have to. You have to go through certain things. If you just
agree with that,
unless something is crazy in the locker room where you just somebody's got to go. You got to go through the steps first. Otherwise, you got people asking questions in a season where you can't have guys asking questions. You know, you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
So, sorry, it was kind of not a fun night, guys. I know a lot of people are chanting, blow it up. Welcome to the club. I've wanted this team to tank since 2015. It hasn't happened, but here we are. We will push on. We will push on to Friday's pre and post game show. Like I said, I'll have Caitlin Cooper on the pre-game show. She is fantastic. We will go at 5:30. Make sure that you were here for that. She will drop knowledge 100%. If you haven't already, please like, rate, review, subscribe to the podcast. Jack Ramsays available wherever you get podcasts. If you are sitting here watching on YouTube live or on the replay, go ahead and click the subscribe button. We really appreciate it. We are trying to grow to 2,000 by Thanksgiving, and right now, Brandon, we are on track, which means I will do a show from the Peloton.
I don't think that's a reward for people subscribing.
It's a reward for me. It's very hard for me to get my workouts in and also do the show. Okay.
Okay. All right. You're getting real attacked. Like it's almost like you're on the team and you just dropped to 3 and 5 right now.
Yikes! Oh God. All right, guys. You can follow Brandon Sprague. At Brandon Sprague on social media. You can follow me at Danny Marang, except for on Instagram at DMarang. Still not out there because they are squatting on my handle. Listen, I got nothing for you guys. Go enjoy the rest of your nights. We'll catch you Friday afternoon with Caitlin Cooper against the Indiana Pacers, and then following that, post-game show, and then into the Lakers show. As always, you can send questions, jackedramsays@gmail.com, or you can send them to me at Danny Marang or Jacked Ramsays on Twitter as well, and we will get them into the mailbag. Regardless, one way or the other, we will record this weekend for the mailbag pod as well, and I've got a couple other breakdown videos looking at Anfernee Simons and Nasir Little through their first 2 weeks, basically, this season. What's good, what's bad, what's in between, what to look forward to. So I had to sit on a little bit of time and get some film going, and then it'll be fun. So, you ready, Sprague?
I'm ready.
All right, go to bed.
Good night.